climax is in John 8:58. Before Abraham was, I am. But about specifically John 19, Chris pointed this out, that they wanted to kill him so badly because he claimed to be the Son of God, and so that points to you, or that at least should give everybody an understanding of what the name Son of God really means. Is it really what the Unitarians are trying to say, or is it something that is equal to blasphemy? Right, and then in John 5, I think it explains that quite clearly, that by calling God his own Father, he was making himself equal with God, and this is not just a mere equality of representation or just authority, but I suggest that it's about power, it's about equality. For example, it talks about the power to resurrect people from the dead. They will hear the Son of God's voice. All things, or all judgment has been given unto the Son. The Father judges no one. You must honor the Son as you honor the Father. So it's in equality in a much more different sense than just, okay, they're equal because of their will, or because of their authority, because of Jesus Christ is an agent of God. It's not like that at all. For example, of course, the pinpointing on the honor due to Christ is the same honor due to the Father. That's in a claim of equality, that if you honor the Father with unique kind of worship, and Jesus the Son is referring to himself as having that dignity to be honored as much as God is honored, then that shows you that he is God. Because if he's not honored as God, but is asking for the same honor as God, then that's idolatry. And also, just a quick point about I think Matthew and Luke, where the trial where Jesus says, "You say that I am," but yeah, that's not necessarily a denial that he is the Son of God. I think he mentions that in the same gospel when Judas, Judas says, "Surely it isn't I who's going to betray you." But Jesus responds to him, "You have said that." Obviously, it doesn't mean that he's denying that he's going to betray him, but he's saying, "You have said that," in the sense of, accusing him of doing exactly what he has condemned himself to be doing. So it's kind of like, by saying, "You have said that," it's like Jesus saying, you yourself condemn yourself, based off of what you said. So same thing with, people pressing Christ to say that he's the Son of God. But when he says, "You have said that," then it shows that, yes, it's not a statement of denial, especially when the same gospel, especially Matthew, the great revelation that Peter receives is that he's the Son of God. And Christ affirms that to be from the Father, which gives it 100% approval that he is the Son of God. But yeah.
I'd like to notice that Diego didn't keep reading. If you do not honor the Son, you do not honor the Father who sent him. See, this is all agency. So Jesus says, whatever you do to me, whatever they do to you, they do to me, and whatever they do to me, they do to the one who sent me. If they reject you, they reject me, and he who rejects me rejects the one who sent me. So yes, you honor the Son as you honor the Father, because he who does not honor the Son does not honor the Father who sent him. This is agency, okay? So they don't keep reading. They want to say that you worship Jesus as you worship God. No, you honor the Son as you honor the Father, because if you don't, because Jesus comes in the name and the authority of the Father, you do not honor the Father who sent him. See, classic example of people that don't get agency. So if I sent Mustafa to go get a bunch of my things, and I say to Mustafa, you have full authority to do whatever you need to do, grab my stuff. Mustafa shows up and says, hey, I've been sent to gather everything. He told me to do it. I'm here to do it. And they say, get lost, get out of here. By rejecting Mustafa, they're rejecting me. Okay, because I've given him the authority. Jesus tells you the authority is not mine. I've come in my Father's name. I have manifested your name to them, the name you have given me. Okay, the name is the authority to represent God. So if you reject Jesus, you reject the one who sent him. He's the image of God. He's there in God's place because God is invisible. No man has ever seen God. He dwells in unapproachable light that no man can see or has ever seen. You cannot see the face of God and live. So he has angels who represent him, that come in the name and the authority of the Father. Jesus is there in place of the Father. If you see me, you see the Father. Okay? But it tells you in John 12:44, if you believe in me, you do not believe in me. You believe in the one who sent me. This is the problem that Trinitarians have had, is
I
because of
see
their
y'all later.
lack of understanding of agency, they don't understand who sent Jesus. They make it all about Jesus instead of the Father who Jesus came in the name of to represent. So, yes, you honor Jesus as you honor the Father, because if you don't honor the Father who sent him. Thanks.
Thank you. So, Diego, my friend, very abruptly, so we'll welcome him onto the show next week. I mean, some of the points that Christian man has made there, I mean, do you follow from what line what he's saying? So, for example, he gave a good analogy of myself, that if he sends me as an authority that has been bestowed on me by him to do the task of getting his belongings from someone, you know, I'm acting as him. And if then the person to whom I'm collecting his belongings shows me no such validation because I represent Chris, then that's a form of rejection for Chris. Sorry, for a Christian man, sorry. That's a form of rejection of Christian man. So therefore, he would give me the same honor because I'm sent by this individual. It's like, Diego, I think I mentioned to you in lots of customs. If, for example, you are well acquainted with a particular family, particularly the father is well acquainted with a particular family, that family that the father is particularly acquainted to, they have a bereavement. The father can't go to the bereavement for whatever reason. He then sends his son as a representative, one who represents me and hence represents that family. And therefore, when he goes to that funeral, the people understand that because his son has come, hence he is given an honor that, you know, he's attended the funeral, he's condolences. That counts as if the father has done it. But if the son goes, for example, and they show him no regard whatsoever, and they say to him, "Oh, why are you here?" as opposed to your father, then that would be a rejection of the father because he sent his agent son in that manner. So, do you understand where Christian man is coming from, Diego, in his explanation of what he just mentioned?
Yes. So actually, it's actually how do I phrase this? So since Chris had to leave, now I could add my own, unique Catholic perspective. That's why I didn't really elaborate on John 6 so much, because there's a contention between us on what exactly John 6 and eat his flesh and drink his blood, all that stuff. But either way, now I'm free to be the Catholic that I am. But anyway, actually, this is good because we have to, as Catholics, have to explain what agency is to fellow Christians, to the Protestants, because when we say, that certain people are exalted, like for example, like the saints, we have to explain, in a certain sense, a kind of same logic that Christian men and of course you guys are pointing out, but I don't believe that applies to Jesus in the same way, because it's not because Jesus is an agent that he's said to be equal with God. That I disagree with. So I think the context, of course, matters. So, again, I think it's funny because when Unitarians accuse Trinitarians that they don't know what agency is, no, we actually have to, at least as Catholics and Orthodox and the people of the Apostolic faith, when we, for example, say Peter is the rock, the first thing you'll hear from a Protestant is, no, Jesus is the rock. Wait, hold on, pause. Now we have to explain to you the distinction. In what sense Peter is a rock, and in what sense Jesus is the rock. So, for example, the same thing, the same logic, of course, for the Unitarians applies to Jesus, in the sense that, Jesus is God. That's clear in certain New Testament texts. But, then it says the Father is God, but how do you not see that they're equal, or, whatever. But actually, I don't believe that that's what's going on with Jesus, right? And actually, because I believe in a certain sense what Christian man is saying, especially with the example with the centurion, actually, I actually find it kind of funny every time he brings that up, because there's so much more examples in the Bible, especially in the Old Testament. But I don't think Unitarians actually bring that up. Not because I think they haven't actually read the Old Testament, because I think you have even stronger verses, of course, in the Old Testament, but I won't bring them up. I'll just wait until the day that the Unitarian glimpses through the Old Testament and tries to see a language